to our guest agenda, and the first of those is the Campbell County Sheriff, Jeff Kidwell, who I think has a slideshow for us about his office.
Yes, I do. I'd like to thank the Fiscal Court for this opportunity to come forward and go over just the tip of the iceberg, really, of some of the things that I've been working on since I took office back in November. As we'll start off, obviously I was sworn in on the 8th of November. That's when I took office. Just a little bit of background, we employ 29 people, including deputies, courthouse security, professional and administrative staff. Some of the things we do are tax collection, security for the courts, security for all three properties. You got 600 Columbia, 1098 Monmouth, this building, and the courthouse itself. We're responsible for checking the status of registered sex offenders, civil and criminal and court documents, and warrant service, and just many, many other services we provide to the citizens of Campbell County. One of the first things we did after I took office was had all of our law enforcement personnel sworn in, and that happened on December 11th. And that was something that I think we were mandated to do by statute, but as I understand, I don't know that everyone has been properly sworn in the past. So that was one thing I wanted to make sure that we got done. Along with that, I also ran background checks on all of our employees. Everybody had to fill out new employment applications just to make sure that we had everything covered. Since I hadn't done that hiring of these individuals myself, I wanted to make sure that we have proper staffing, which we do. Since then, we've added a few new people, and you'll see those listed there. We brought in Richard Lucas, which he's here with us today, as our finance director, and Mike Gross, which is a sergeant, Elizabeth Kendall, our office manager, and Lisa McIntyre, which we brought in as our assistant financial director. And there's Richard. He actually transitioned from Jim Seibert, which he had been the finance director for the sheriff's office, but he retired, and we were fortunate enough to be able to steal Richard from Fiscal Court. Now he's been with them for about 20 years, close to it, and has a master's degree in accounting, and just knows the Fiscal Court inside and out. So that was really a big benefit to us, so we didn't have to bring somebody in fresh to teach them the ins and outs of having to manage the accounting for county government. Next person I'd like to talk about is Mike Gross. We brought him in as a sergeant. He came from Boone County. He started out as a Boone County policeman, and then when they had the merge, became a Boone County deputy sheriff. Mike primarily supervises the people at the courthouse. That's mostly what he does in scheduling and make sure that everything runs smooth over there. As far as transports, he does all that kind of stuff too, and supervision of the road deputies, which they go out and they do warrant service, paper service, all that kind of stuff. Next person is Elizabeth Kendall, and we brought her in as our office manager. She has a criminal justice degree and was the circuit clerk's chief deputy for about 3.5 years. So she also, like Richard, knew a lot about the ins and outs as far as county government goes, and with her was a benefit because she understands the paperwork flow of the court system. So that really is a big benefit there. Her job is to primarily supervise a couple of people there in the office, take care of scheduling. She's going to be doing payroll and all that as far as office duties go. Next person we brought in is Lisa McIntyre. We brought her in as a assistant financial director, and she is there essentially to help Richard with whatever he needs. It's my understanding with Obamacare, our reporting requirements have gone up exponentially, and that's going to be very difficult for one person to be able to handle. So Lisa was brought in to do that, also to do the AOC reporting, which is the administrative offices of the courts. And what happens with that is the time that my deputies spend at the courthouse, we actually bill to AOC in Frankfurt, and they reimburse us a small percentage, but a percentage anyway of the costs that we have involved with providing security for the courthouse. So all that stuff needs to be documented accurately and just sent to AOC so that we can get reimbursed as much as we can to try to defray some of the costs for the fiscal court and for the sheriff's office. She's also doing payroll and doing essentially anything that she needs to do to help Richard be compliant with a lot of these new requirements. One of the first things that I encountered coming in was we had a courthouse, the old courthouse that is, the old part of the Justice Center that did not have any heat. And so I had my staff there daily wearing their jackets and freezing to death and everything else in the old part. So we had a heating system with the help, I think Robert helped us along with that to get that installed so we don't have to have our people freezing, and then of course citizens that come in and out and any of the other courthouse staff having to walk through the building when it was below freezing at times. So we got that taken care of. The next thing is we've computerized a great deal of the sheriff's office in the past 90-some days. Part of what we've done, it's kind of hard to see up there, but that's the schedule that we use for courthouse security. This includes what we refer to as CCSOs, which are courthouse security people, and deputies for each courtroom for a period of time there. That's a monthly schedule. This is something that Mike Gross put together when he came in as sergeant to really get us organized. And before that time, that scheduling information was pretty much just kept in somebody's head, which is obviously not good for longevity of the schedule. So that's kind of helped us and kind of streamlined our scheduling a little bit there. Another thing that we did was when I came in, at least half of our employees did not have email access or email addresses. So the joke was, that I was running a 1950s office, so I needed to send a memo out, have to type it up, print it off, sign it, give it to the office out front. They make 1 million copies, drive over to the courthouse, and pass that out, which is just crazy. Since that time, we have implemented email addresses for all staff, so now I can just pick the whole department, put out a memo, and we're done. So we've saved all that paper, all that work, and all that. So everyone has email addresses, which is pretty rudimentary nowadays. Another thing that we did is we've implemented shared calendars through the office so that somebody can go in and see when I'm available or when Sergeant Gross is available or whatever, or people are out on training or people out on transports, whatever. This gives everyone in the agency an opportunity to really see what's going on just with the click of a button instead of having to go through all the arduous phone calls and everything else to try to figure out where people are or what their schedule is going to be. So just another way of streamlining with technology at the Sheriff's Office. Another thing we've gotten into now is we have MDCs or MDTs, whichever you like to call it, for the cruisers, which are mobile data terminals, mobile data computers. Up until this time, we had purchased them for the agency long before me, but I found out that a lot of those computers were actually in the trunks of the cruisers or not being used. The deputies hadn't been trained on doing things like e-citation or e-warrant, e-crash, any of these things. We were one of the last few agencies in the state that actually uses paper citations. So we are moving away from that now. We've got in all the road deputies' cars, we have these MDTs that we already purchased. We have those things installed and set up. Mike has also handled a lot of the technology stuff there because he had a lot of the experience from Boone, getting the e-citation, all the stuff set up on the computers that we've installed in the vehicle. So that training is continuing. So we're every day getting a little more modern. The next thing is back in the end of January, we requested from Robert and from IT the ability, this building here, 1098 Monmouth, has security cameras. You probably see them up in the ceiling, they're all over the building. Up until then, the video feeds for this stuff had gone to a server on the 3rd floor, which is great that it's being recorded, but nothing was being done real time. So nobody was monitoring that. So if reception had an issue, or God forbid we had a shooter come into the building, we had no eyes. So with Robert's help and with IT's help, we have the ability now in the Sheriff's Office, and it is monitored daily, to monitor these live feeds all over the building. So if anything happens, any kind of problem, we've got the ability to have the tactical advantage to see what's going on. Another program that I've instituted since I started was our stuffed animal program. And I was really kind of surprised at how much this has taken off. You know, this is not a new idea. Years ago, I spent a lot of time with Newport Police and working with them, and this is one of the programs that they had in place. And for their officers or for our road deputies, we now carry like a Tupperware container in the trunk with stuffed animals. Now, it's a very simple thing, but it can be a big deal to a little child that's been through a bad situation, either a car accident or domestic violence, or any other time that we come in contact with children that have been traumatized by what they've gone through. You know, our deputies will give them a stuffed animal. Now, this is not paid for with any kind of taxpayer money. In fact, I paid for all this up front to get it started. Since then, once we put the information out about it, I've got a cell in the back that just full of stuffed animals where people have donated them. So I think that'll be able to sustain that for the foreseeable future. One thing I was amazed about, we posted the information about the stuffed animal program on Facebook. Now, I've been on Facebook for a long time, and I've never actually seen anything quote unquote go viral. But this was so well accepted that it was actually shared and seen by over 22,000 people, if you can imagine. So I was pretty impressed with that, and I'm pretty happy about the program. I think it's going well. Another service that we're offering now is photographs for people that need them for concealed carry. Normally they would have to go to Walgreens or go wherever to bring in a photo. And it sounds simple, but the cost involved, actually I had a printer and we had a camera that I donated just laying around that we didn't use. And the cost for material so far is $35. And to date, we have collected over $1,100 in fees for the sheriff's office just providing this convenience to the citizens. So I'll take $1,100 back from $35 anytime. And it also provides that service for citizens, so you don't have to go someplace else to get a picture and then worry about coming in. You can do it all at the same time. Next thing is just the improved utilization of our facilities that we have here. For example, you'll see up on the board there that we've got some lockers and a safe that until January, nobody knew what the combinations were for the lockers, if you can imagine, and nobody had a key to the safe either. So now every night the office staff does lock up the drawers with cash and all that in the safe, and we are using the lockers now for evidence. One of the things I was faced with when I first came in, I had stopped in a few days before I actually took office just to introduce myself and walk around, and I said to a couple of the girls in the office, I said, when I get in here, we've got to get these tax bills out. So come here and take a look at this. They bring me to a room in the back and open the door, and I see all these mail trays just full of tax bills. They say, they're already done. They're ready to go out. We can mail them as soon as you take office. So I think, thank goodness. I come in the first day, and we find out that the library had given us an incorrect percentage for the library tax, so all the bills had to be reprinted. So that was a huge catastrophe just walking in the door, but we did get that done. Of course, what we did with that was we billed the library back for that mistake, for what that costed. Now, one of the things that I know that I did with my staff is there was an internal envelope inside of the tax bills. There was a return envelope to send your payment back in. Instead of having those reprinted, which would have cost a lot more, we actually pulled the envelopes out of the inside and shelled all these things. I even brought my own family in one weekend. We worked for hours just shelling these things to get them done. But anyway, when we did have these things reprinted correctly, we ended up charging the library back $10,564.57. Now, of that $10,000, the sheriff's office portion was $7,755.57. Now, what that did was that covered, which I didn't. A lot of people did that voluntarily even on the weekends. They were not billed. The sheriff's office was not billed for a lot of their time, but this was all time during working hours that we had working on this project, reprinting the bills, the shredding of the old bills to get rid of all that personal information, all that stuff. And let's see here. Yeah, as of yesterday, the sheriff's office had billed $49,863,000 to what's this?
I said, see my.
Time's up.
Anyway, so to date we've collected a little over 47 million. So we've got about 96.4.
There's a ghost in here.
Yeah. Anyway, we've collected about 96.4% of the taxes that we billed so far. And they do continue to dribble in daily, but I think our percentage is going to be even better than that, I think, as time goes on. Of course, we collect taxes for just about every other part of county government. You know, Jack collects some vehicle taxes and that type of stuff, but we collect the lion's share and then feed all the taxing districts and everybody else that runs from the money that's derived from taxes. Back in February, we just finished the design of the new tax bills that we'll be seeing in 2013. Those had to be done so that Jack is able to order the tax bills that we need to process for the 2013 tax season. Now this is a big deal here. This is the first time in the sheriff's office history, if you can imagine, we actually have now a policies and procedures manual, which is up here, and anybody's welcome to look at it before you leave. The thing consists of 274 pages and covers pretty much everything having to do with the sheriff's office, procedurally and policy-wise, everything from use of force to just administrative issues. The first draft is 274 pages. This is something that I've been working on literally for months, almost from the day I walked in the door. But this is going to really help our agency to make sure that everybody is doing everything uniformly and doing it correctly and by the law, and will certainly help our liability situation. In the book, we've got all policies and procedures, and we have any copies of any sheriff's directives that I put out, which these are individual policy mandates that I put out individually as time's gone on before there was a published manual. Every law that's referred to is in the book is printed out in this book. We have an organizational chart and then rules and standards of conduct as far as employees, so that we can set our standards higher and strive for a more professional staff. This is another thing since I took over, since the first week. I meet weekly with Judge Pendry and Robert and Steve Franzen and other members of the fiscal court. Commissioner Garrett's been coming to a lot of the meetings. And so we try to touch base and try to keep each other involved in what's going on. And I don't think that communication's really ever existed between the sheriff's office and any other county entity. But I think it's important that we're all part of the same county government, and as I've said to them, we all serve the same master. So we should be working together to do whatever we can to help each other be successful. And so I've tried to strive for that since the beginning. One of the things we discussed right after I took over was the wage and hour issues that we had in the sheriff's office, and that was that every employee, if you can imagine, the sheriff's office was salary. Nobody was hourly. That's unheard of. Certainly unheard of with any type of police agency. I'm sure you can appreciate as someone that had to run for office, my very first few days in office, and I come in and I meet with the fiscal court and they say, by the way, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to mess with everybody's paycheck. There's no quicker way to make friends. But we, inside of a month and a half, something like that, we successfully did get converted. Everybody's salary had to be converted down to an hourly basis. All the reporting as far as lunch and breaks and everything else for wage and hour compliance, all that had to be put into place. And so far, we have successfully done that, and everybody is used to being on hourly now. So that was quite a culture shock for the employees of the sheriff's office. One other thing that we've instituted is cross-training across the agency. And so everybody that works at the courthouse, all the security personnel are rotated in and out one day a month They come over to the office to find out about how to monitor, for example, the security cameras in this building, how to do concealed carry processing, how to do vehicle inspection, all that kind of stuff. So they understand everything that happens on this side of the office, everything that's being done administratively in the offices, and so they know how to do that. Another thing that Richard has implemented has been cross-training as far as finance goes. So Elizabeth and Lisa are both learning the payroll, they're both learning all the financial end of it, so that if somebody's not there or whatever, they're properly cross-trained. So that we're not depending on one person, and we've got more than one person involved in any of the finances of the agency. Now this may sound like kind of a petty thing, but that in December, I authorized my guys to go out and get whatever equipment was that they needed. I was surprised that we had some deputies who were walking around with holes in their boots because nobody had approved them to get new equipment. So we bought jackets and boots for whoever needed them, just to make sure that they were properly equipped. Another thing is our courthouse security. Those guys have blazers, so I'm sure you've seen them walk around the courthouse. They have had really no training to speak of. I guess their initial training that they had for 2 weeks when they first became courthouse security, they had as far as firearm stuff. But as far as any kind of weapons training or any of that, it's non-existent. So we've got these fellows walking around without any guns, without any body armor. It's a liability problem just waiting to happen. So I have ordered firearms for all the courthouse security. Unfortunately, with the situation as it is now with firearms, it's going to take us probably a couple more weeks to actually get those in. Before anybody is given any kind of weapons, though, we have developed an extensive training course. We have 3 people in our employ that are certified weapons instructors and one that's a certified taser instructor. So I've created a training team within our own organization, and everyone's going to have to go through this. In fact, we've got a fax machine set up now in one of the unused courtrooms over at the courthouse. What that is a computerized shoot, no shoot type of simulator that we can put our people through. This training is going to include weapons retention. It's going to include shoot, no shoot scenarios. Part of it's going to be real world stuff. Part of it's going to be on the range. Part of it's going to be computer simulation. And the simulations that we're going to use are actually courtroom or courthouse based training. So we're not going to be teaching guys that are in the courtroom how to do a proper traffic stop, for example. We're going to be teaching them what they need to know to do their job. As soon as they've completed all this, then we're going to issue them the weapons. And I believe we're going to be a whole lot more secure than we are. This is nothing new. This is something that Kenton does, something that Boone does. We're just kind of bringing up the rear, but we're getting there. Another thing is I've directed that our deputies, and in fact any of our employees, are not allowed to carry any weapon that hasn't been either issued to them by the department or have to be approved by myself and the range officer. We've had situations where guys were carrying their own guns, which for many reasons is not a good idea, not safety issues and liability issues and everything else. So we've made sure that everybody's carrying the same thing. Whether that's an asp instead of a PR-24, if you're familiar with a PR-24, it's a long stick with a handle, to where an asp is more of an extension type weapon. So we need to make sure that everybody's carrying the same thing, which we are now. One of the things I was very concerned with when I first came in is the heroin problem in Campbell County. And I have a very good friend that works at St. Luke and has been there for 25 years. And he tells me stories of people pulling up and just pushing people out of the car, that have overdosed on heroin. This happens almost every day. And so I reached out to the DEA when I first came in, and I met with the head of the Ohio Valley Region DEA, and we discussed the involvement of the Campbell County Sheriff's Office with them and what they could do to help us try to curtail some of this heroin problem that we have in Campbell County. On February 27th, you may have heard about this. I was really kind of surprised that it wasn't more in the news than it was. But the DEA had the largest heroin bust in Ohio Valley region history on February 27th. And that was actually in Highland Heights, right here in Campbell County. The official DEA press release had the Campbell County Sheriff's Office listed as a contributing agency. And that was a direct result of my request from them and the head of the DEA locally when we talked, and he said they would try to focus more on Campbell County. Not to say that everything's not important, but they were going to focus more here after this was really brought to his attention what our problems are here. So anyway, I was glad to see that happen, and I think heroin's going to be a little drier on the streets of Campbell County for a while. We were also invited to have some of our officers get certified, which we have done, and I purposely left the name on the certificate there because it's confidential which ones of our officers are certified now. But they've gone through the DEA Jetway program, which is an interdiction program, which teaches them how, let's say on main thoroughfares, what to look for as far as vehicles to pull over. And this covers everything, I believe, from passenger vehicles probably all the way up to airplanes, right, Mike? So they know what they're looking for, and the Campbell County Sheriff's Office is going to become more involved in that interdiction process to try to stop some of this flow of heroin into our community, because it's just killing people every day, and we've got to do something to stop it. All right. We've increased our public outreach as well. Since I started, that's our copy of our webpage there. And back in November, I updated our website to the new address, which actually had the old address on there. Tax information, everything else as far as informational purposes that the public needs from the Sheriff's Office. If you look there at the bottom, you'll see 3 little icons. We've also started a Facebook, Twitter, and a YouTube account to have better outreach to the public and better interaction with them. So if they've got questions or whatever, they can shoot us an email or they can post it on Facebook, just to kind of give our citizens a better idea of what's going on. This is something else we've done for the first time. The Campbell County Sheriff's Office has had an entry into the What's Happening magazine in Campbell County. We took a full page and we went over in the book there, if you've seen it, some of the things we've talked about today. And I intend to continue that. There will be another edition at the end of this year and another edition in spring next year. We're going to continue to do this to keep our citizens up to date on what we're doing and our progress we're making. I just said with the social media, we've also launched, like I say, along with the website, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that. And those are copies. That's our Facebook, our Twitter, and our YouTube pages. And any kind of functions that we have, for example, we're going to have a picnic later this summer for the Sheriff's Office employees and family, and I'm sure we'll take video or what have you there. We're going to post all that just once again to keep the public better informed as to what we're up to. Another thing we've worked on, I don't know how well you can see that, but we're looking at new markings for our cruisers. Right now we have a fair amount of our cruisers are not marked at all. And so we've got guys out there doing work for the community, in the community, and they're in unmarked vehicles. Now, I kind of wondered why that was. I was told that in the past administration that they did not want their deputies to, quote, get into trouble. And therefore, if they were in a marked vehicle and they passed whatever, they were obligated to have to stop and take care of whatever. My outlook on that is very much different. I believe that they should be involved. If we roll up on an accident or we pass another officer that is in trouble with a call or what have you, we should be involved in that, and we are going to be. So we are going to go ahead and get those vehicles marked. And so there's going to be more of a public presence. You know, people are, I'm here now, well, I never see any sheriff deputies out any place. It's like, well, yeah, you do. You just don't know it. Yeah, we're just kind of invisible to the public, but that's changing. We're almost done, I promise. This is the next big thing, really. And there's kind of the drawing. You probably can't see it that well. We are opening a satellite office in Alexandria to better service the people in the south end of the county. It's going to be kind of started out, we were going to just do vehicle inspection out there and maybe just concealed carry, but that is evolved into a full service type situation. Our finance director said that we should be able to collect taxes out there, and so the initial plan expanded a little bit. And we are going to be the same building that the county clerk and the county circuit clerk's office is in now. So we're going to be kind of around back in the basement. I don't know how well you can see that, but this is kind of the before pictures of what was there before we started working on renovating for the new office. Here's some of the progress, and you can see we're getting pretty close there. We just got to install the counters, do some painting, we'll be ready. Now, I've been told by our building guy that they should be ready within the next 2 weeks. So we will be providing vehicle inspections, fingerprint services, concealed carry, processing, and tax collection out there before it's over with. So hopefully that's a welcome addition for the south end. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg, but I'm not going to bore you guys anymore. That's what I've been doing with my life for the last 96 days. So I appreciate the opportunity to address you guys, just let you know what's going on. And certainly, as always, if you've got any questions with anything on my business card, I'll be happy to give it to you by direct line into the office, or if my cell phone's on there too. So if you need anything at all, just certainly contact me, or through any of the social media pages. I'll be happy to answer anything you got. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Can't resist the opportunity, always. Jeff, I want to say thank you for coming today. I appreciate it a lot. This is very informative, and you've been very busy. I congratulate you on that. A lot of really...
11 or 12 hours a day is pretty typical.
Good.
Maybe we get that down to 8 after we get a lot of things accomplished.
Public's getting value for their dollars here, but I can't stop and not speak about the elephant in the room. The direction that you've taken here is a different focus, and it's a different direction. It's more policing, it's more those type of activities. We have to talk about this. Does the model that Boone County followed apply here in Campbell County? And I think we have to have that discussion as a public and as the elected officials here, if that model makes sense or not. You know what I speak of. So what do you think of that? Is it too early to have that discussion, or is it now is the appropriate time?
I personally think it's too early to have that discussion. My focus is on the improvement of the sheriff's office as it is. I believe that at least at this point in history, I think that we are much closer in agencies to Kenton County than we are in Boone, for obvious reasons. Sheriff Corsenborn has been invaluable to me with methodology, the way they do things, helping with forms, with policy, with, you know, for example, after the mass exodus that happened in the sheriff's office here before the election, just about everybody left that had anything to do with accounting. And in order to key in our payroll, we have to key our payroll in to Frankfurt. And you have to go through a class, you have to be certified in order to enter payroll, believe it or not. And we don't have anybody on our staff that is certified. Now, I've got 3 people that are going back next week for the certification, so we'll be all set. But when Sheriff Corsenborn heard about this and his Chief Deputy, Pat Morgan, they said, hey, don't worry about it. We will send somebody over, to teach your people how to do the payroll in the meantime, and we're going to do your payroll for you. You just send us a spreadsheet every week, and we'll key the stuff in because we have multiple people that are certified. Haven't charged us a dime.
Back to that discussion, though. You know,
I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I think our agency very closely mirrors Kenton County. We are going to be, when you talk about increased policing, we are not, as things are now, going to be doing patrol, not at all. But what we are going to be doing is, when my people are out serving paper, for example, if they're in Newport on 11th Street and down on 8th Street, you've got a Newport officer that's being heard on a call, and maybe they're backed up and don't have anybody to send, they're absolutely going to be able to dispatch one of our people and to back them up and to provide assistance. That we are absolutely going to do, and that's the same thing that Kent County does. They're not dispatched to a domestic, for example, but if someone needed a backup on a domestic call, they would certainly go. And I think that's where we need to be. Now, if we're talking about, and I'm sure we're talking about merging, I'm sure that's where that conversation's going, right, as far as policing, because obviously that's what happened in Boone County, was the county police and the county sheriff merged. You know, that's something that's totally out of my realm. If that decision is made, you know, I will be happy to take on whatever challenge that I'm given. But that's something that's going to be decided by the fiscal court and not me. Until that time, that anything like that would happen, I'm just looking to best utilize the resources that we have right now for the good of the citizens. That's where I'm at.
My question is, at what point in time, and Chief, probably this is for you too as well, should we have that public discussion? Because the recognition of savings that Boone County touts is significant. So we need to have the discussion, and if not now, when are we going to have the discussion about what this makes
I'm not
sense?
suggesting that you guys shouldn't discuss it, but that's a decision that's made by the fiscal court, not by the sheriff. So that discussion probably would not involve me if the
Well, it has to, Jim. It has to.
if the fiscal court makes that decision. I would personally right now, my concern is making sure that the sheriff's office is running like a fine oil machine, and it's not now. It's greatly improved over the last 90-some days. We're getting very close, but it's going to take more time. I would want to make sure that what we're doing is in good shape before we would begin to introduce another agency. So I would think that discussion, if that discussion is going to involve me, which obviously it's not my decision to do that, but if that discussion involves me, I do believe it's a bit premature. I'm willing to talk about anything to any of the fiscal board at any time, but I do believe it's a bit premature right now.
Is it a half year away or a year away?
This is not for now.
I'm sorry, Judge. This is a good discussion that needs to be had. Sometimes.
Well, I disagree with that. And the sheriff's not going to make that decision just as he says. That's for the four of us to decide. And this is not the place to discuss it. Okay. Are there any further questions? We appreciate it and appreciate the close working relationship we've had.
Thank you.
We will take this under advisement. If we develop questions, we'll feel free to bring them up in the regular meetings that we have.
Absolutely.